This meeting is being held live and also via video conferencing in accordance with the Town Board's enactment of Local Law 14 of 2022. Our meeting and those following also will be held in person here at Town Hall and will continue to allow for remote participation. So please keep checking the town's website for updates and any new information. If you wish to view tonight's live meeting only and not participate, do not join the Zoom meeting and instead go to the town's website for viewing access. With that, I'd like you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For those of you with us tonight, in case of an emergency evacuation, please exit through the rear doors of this room to one of the staircases across the hall and continue downstairs and out through the main entrance. Do not attempt to use the elevators during an emergency evacuation. In case of a medical emergency, the automated external defibrillator and first aid kit are both located in the hallway on this floor opposite the elevator. Restrooms are located across the hall from this room. We'll begin this meeting with public hearings. We have applicants and members of the public here with us live and also standing by via Zoom webinar, which is being moderated by CTV. CTV will mute the speakers on Zoom until it is their time to give testimony before the board. Please be patient. If you find you're having difficulties accessing the hearing, visit the town clerk's meeting portal and click on the instructions link. Also, for those of you in this boardroom, please silence your cell phones and refrain from speaking to one another as it interferes with the recording of our proceedings. Tonight, Board Member Helen Burgess is participating via Zoom. A reminder that applicants, agents, and members of the public speaking other than attorneys will be sworn in, will state their address for the record, and will offer their testimony as it relates to the application before the board. In order to consider properly every application before us tonight, individuals commenting on a particular application will have a time limit of 3 minutes. Also, before handing in any submissions to the board tonight, please make sure the documents identify the ZBA application name and tax map number. The application name should also be written on your certified receipts. Unless otherwise stated at the end of an individual application hearing, all applications will remain open for written comments for all purposes until a date certain. Those written comments can be addressed to members of the board and sent via email, mail, and or dropped off at Town Hall to the board secretary, Candace Cowell. At this time, I would like a motion to approve the minutes of our January 18th, 2024
So
meeting.
moved. Second.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion's approved. Keith, would you take us through the agenda?
Okay. As far as the agenda is concerned, we'll go right to item 5 on the agenda, which is West Hampton Boat Works and Storage LLC. I'll move to adjourn that to our March 7th meeting. Second.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Item 7 on the agenda, which is Clearview LLC. I'll move to adjourn to 4-4.
Second.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Item 8 on the agenda, which is Brian Farrell, 11 Robbins Lane. I'll move to adjourn that to 4-4.
Second.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Number 9, which is 911 Flanders Road LLC. I'll move to adjourn to 4-4.
Second.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, on the decision calendar, the following decisions will be held off to our 2:15 meeting. Henry Tabota, Matthew Frank, Mark Smith and Heather Cole, Ronette Riley, Virginia Daly and James Daly, J10 Properties LLC, Dilla Patel and Mr. Dillon. Aaron Appel and Alexander Vyman.
Second.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, then, staying with the decision calendar. Trace, I'm sorry, that's Grace. Grace S. Sutton. I'll make a motion to reopen to accept written submissions.
Second.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
After accepting the written submissions, I'll move to close it with a determination later this evening.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, then there's Production Holdings LLC. I'll move to reopen to accept written submissions.
Second.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Now I'll move to close with a determination later this evening.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I think I'm done with that,
You're done.
so you know. Back to the beginning of the agenda. Item 1 under new applications is Emily McCarthy, 7 Quantuck Bay Lane in Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-359-5-5. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code for the proposed swimming pool on a non-conforming lot. 330-11, residential districts table of dimensional regulations for an accessory distance from street, front yard, setback of 20 feet from the westerly property line, Old Meeting House Road, where 70 feet is required. And 2, 330-76D, placement of accessory building structure and uses in all districts, and 330-83 yards to allow the swimming pool to be located within the required front yard for the principal dwelling. 2, for the proposed 6-foot fence, 330-109, fences, walls, accessory driveway structures, and clotheslines for a proposed 6-foot fence located within the required front yard, and 3, for the proposed pool equipment, 330-77G, placement of accessory building structures and uses in residence districts for a side yard setback of 8.3 feet, where 10 feet is required, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. We pass that to Bob.
Hi, are you an attorney? You muted.
Your audio on.
Okay,
I know.
Got it. Hi, sorry about that.
Okay,
All
I'd
right.
like to swear you
Yes,
in.
I'm an expediter, agent for the owner.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Tracy Shaleski, P.O. Box 427, West Hampton, New York, 11977.
Okay, so tell us about the application.
Good evening. We're here seeking relief for a proposed 22 by 34 by 40 Mountain Lake in-ground pool and a 6-foot fence running along Old Meeting House Road to enclose the yard, removing access from Old Meeting House and formalizing it as a rear yard. As can be seen from the aerials that I provided to the board, side yard pool placement is pretty common in this area. I did do a little count for myself, so side yard pools extending are in the houses extending south, 2, 3, and 5. 4 and 6 Quantuck Bay lanes also have side yard pools. 10 Quantuck Bay Lane, actually, because it's a corner lot, it actually ends up being in the front yard. 14 as well, is the front yard. And then we have 4 Quantuck Bay Road, 27 Quantuck Bay Road, 9 Quantuck Bay Road, and then 199 Old Meeting House Road and 186 Old Meeting House Road, that all have side yard pools. I think it's between, the way the subdivision was laid out, where we have like a lot of through lots, and the fact that it also wraps around, we end up with like a lot of corner lots, so the concept, even though the side yards and the setbacks look on paper very bad, practically it's very common for this area.
Okay, Bob, this is your lead on this. Do you have any particular questions you'd like to start
I
us
don't, the
off?
drive, like you said, the driveway is being closed off, the access being closed off of Old Meeting House Road, correct?
Yeah,
Is there a fence that exists there other than the opening now, or no?
well, there was other work that was done on the house. And so there had been inspectors there back and forth, and the owner had had her own conversation with one of the inspectors, Mark Brager, and I do have an email from him saying that, Emily, you're allowed to close off your property along Meeting House Road as long as you're not encroaching on the town's right of way.
No 6-foot fence.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, not 6 feet, though.
No 6-foot fence.
Exactly, I know, that's why we were going, so there was a little bit of confusion because I was part of the conversation.
Nice
and
try.
it did end up being.
Yeah, I would just say that, Tracy, that this board does not approve 6-foot fences in front yards. So I think that's what the problem is, with regard to the fence.
I think we can go with a 4 foot, but you can put
Yeah,
up whatever.
I mean, what I can say is that I think
landscaping they
you
want.
can partially see it from the photos that I had taken of the posting. And I'd say we're a solid like 10 to 12 feet back off the road behind, already existing rhododendron bushes. So it's not visible from the roadway, it's not impeding eyesight, it's not, in the way of any utilities. It is exactly on her property line. And I do realize that it is a front yard, but it is a lot, do have kids, they do have pets. So it was important for the owner for it to be sufficiently enclosed, especially considering that, you know, they want to install a pool there. They're not really comfortable being on the main road, even though the neighbors kind of do. I think, you know, like looking around the neighborhood the way I did, and looking at the aerials, you know, there's some questionable pool safety issues.
Just don't know about the 6 foot fence.
Right.
Make a 4-foot fence, and
Right.
if that's a problem for the family, then don't build a pool.
No, I mean, like, as far as other people coming onto the property. I mean, they're observing all of the proper required, state-required pool safety measures. However, they, you know, they were uncomfortable being on a main road, and that's why the 6-foot fence is installed along there.
They could put the 4 foot fence and then put whatever evergreens or they have to put in front of the fence or on the inside to close it off, but I don't think we're gonna get enough votes for a 6 foot fence, if any.
No.
Right, I mean, that generally has been a very strong position of this board. So I think that you're gonna have to go back to your client on that one. It's unlikely to get an approval. And I understand what their question is, they don't want people hopping the fence, jumping in the pool. But I think Mr. Macedonio made a good suggestion, you know, what you can't accomplish with the height of the pool fence, you could accomplish with plantings and some other kinds of
Yeah.
protective measures.
The
Well,
rest,
like I said, she thought it was gonna be okay because there are existing, you know, substantial rhododendron plants right along Meeting House right there.
Well, just
So-
go back to her and tell her it's not okay.
yeah,
That's all.
the rest
Plain
of
I'll
it,
just
simple.
go back and
Plain and
ask her
simple,
to
that's all.
cut it down.
the rest of it I have no issues with other than the 6 foot fence.
Okay, I can go back to her and ask her to cut it down to 4 feet.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of people jumping fences to go for a swim.
It's possible, but.
In this area.
I don't know, I was a kid around here and I did have a couple of fences, but it was back in the.
Well, we're glad
Well,
you
you
grew
shouldn't
up.
have.
We're glad you grew out of it.
I wouldn't
We're
admit that.
safe. We're safe now. I did want to make a comment. I see that there are other pools in side yards or what might be considered front yards. But I don't think I see any that are 20 feet from the road or front yard. I think that they've placed this in, you know, all of the other ones are kind of in line with the house. From what I'm seeing, is there any opportunity for them to move that further away from Old Meeting House to, I know they have two front yards, but going from 70 to 20 is a significant,
Well, the way that
significant relief.
the lot is laid out, it is kind of difficult to move it perfectly to the side of the house the way the other houses have it done. I suspect that they were built with a pool, or at least a pool in mind. The way our house is laid out, the driveway that extended from Quantuck Bay Lane to Meeting House Road is exactly next to the house.
I
And
see
that's
that.
also where they have their garage. So they would have to remove their entire driveway that gives them access to be able to pull their car into the garage to put the pool there. I
So-
mean, they did try to pull it as forward as possible because, you know, Meeting House, it's not busy, but it is a relatively busy road. They don't want to be that close, but we have a CO shed, 12 by 14. And the driveway with garage access right there as well. So, I mean, you can see from the survey, they did try to get as close as they could to both the house and the, you know, the driveway that they're gonna keep. But, to
Okay.
do it anymore would handicap their access to the garage.
Are they wedded to the free-form pool, or would a different configured pool perhaps pull it back
I
from?
think she does kind of have her heart set on this shaped pool.
Right, it's 22 feet. It's 22 by 34 by 40. The shape of that is actually
Yeah.
a self-created hardship.
Well, I mean, the deck portion,
I mean, if you did a 20 by 40 there, that would,
16 by 32.
16,
20 by 40, you can fit a 20 by 40, just configuring it different on the lot wouldn't have the same setback relief you need.
yeah. I mean, this is definitely self-created, wanting to have this shape of pool. And,
so what setback would you like to see from Meeting House Road? What would the board be
I'm not,
comfortable with?
I'm not prepared to give you a number that we're okay with, because this is a variance request and we don't negotiate here, but it's a lot of relief, in my 1 of 6 opinion. And I'm asking if there's anything that your owner would be willing to do about that to reduce the amount of relief that they're requesting.
Well, I think, maybe if we shifted the layout of the pool, perhaps we could probably gain another 5 feet, making it 25 feet from Meeting House Road. If we shifted the shape a little bit so that bump out is like a little bit closer to both the driveway and the corner of the house.
That would be better to me. I mean, again, our job is to grant as little relief as possible if we're going to grant it. So I don't know if it matters to the other board members. You could,
Well, I think, you're obviously burdened by having 2 front yards, but I do think that a different configuration of the pool should be considered, and, trying to set it back a little further from the road. And since you're going to be going back to talk about the 4-foot fence, I would just suggest that perhaps you talk to the applicant about that as well. Is that,
Just put a 16 by
Yeah, I can
32
go back to
pool.
them and speak to her about that. So,
and it doesn't have to be 20 by 40, it could be 16 by 32, which would be, perhaps even more
Well,
favorable.
I think she was kind of, the freeform leak allows you to have a little bit more interesting of a bottom than just the usual steps down to, the 3 feet with the severe drop down to 8 feet. She wanted something more comfortable that you could ease your way into. That was the idea of having the freeform shape,
Okay.
is to have like,
Well, there are ways to accommodate that.
I have a question.
okay.
So I'm wondering,
I'm not in favor of the shape of the pool. I'm more in favor of a regular rectangular pool for several reasons that relate to environmental issues too. And you could put a cover on a rectangular pool, and you couldn't put a cover
Oh, well, she would have a cover that, you know, the loop block covers that go over it in the winter. They make them in all shapes.
Sounds like a case of she wants what she wants. That doesn't work for the board, you know what I mean? So you need
Oh, I
to go.
wasn't saying that she wants what she wants, but I mean, you know.
I didn't say you said that, I said that.
Oh,
John, you had some questions?
Yes, I'm just wondering, I'm looking at this and it's almost a kidney shape, but I'm wondering if it could be turned.
Mickey Mouse.
If it could be turned on the lot to increase the setback that you have and have that
have it
appendage.
extending lengthwise rather than.
Exactly,
back short.
exactly,
Okay,
and put
yeah, I
that
think
closer.
that could definitely work.
Put that further down. I mean, I don't know what that will do with your setback, the 28.7 foot setback to the northeast, but
I think we could probably shift it, maintain the 28 and also increase our setback from Meeting House.
yeah, I'd like to see
I think we
a
can
wider
make that work.
setback. I do understand, though, that this is, you've got a property that's burdened with two front yards. It's a 70-foot setback that's, you know, almost draconian in this situation, and I would like to give relief, but I would like to see a little less relief.
Okay, I think I could go back to Emily and say if we shifted it so it was more lengthwise than depth-wise, I think we could make that
Yeah,
work.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, did you happen to see the comments from the building department
On the
Which
shed.
one?
on the shed? It says, with respect to the 12 by 14 frame shed located 55 feet from eastern property line shown on survey prepared by Wix, last dated October 18, 2022, said shed does not comply with the required accessory front yard setback. However, it's been
I believe that
determined.
we discussed that and it was
Okay,
PO'd.
so you did see it and it seems to have been resolved. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. All right, is there any more comments from the board?
No.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on this application of 7 Quantuck Bay Lane in Queog? Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard? Okay, Bob? Bob, it's yours.
This is mine, I move to, do you want to do that by written submission, do you want to hold it open?
I think we have to hold this
Hold it
open.
open? Okay.
Yeah, give me a chance to go back to the client.
And then come back with the pool configuration and different things.
How
yeah.
long do you think it'll take to get the necessary documentation?
Not too long, Michael Wicks is pretty responsive,
All right, so,
probably 2 or 3 weeks.
Candace, what do you want to go? to the first
3/7?
one? 3/7, the first one in March?
Yeah, I would say 3/7.
Okay, so we'll hold it open till 3/7,
Okay.
okay?
Second?
All right, thank you very much.
Second?
Mr. Macedonio,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Okay.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 2 is 2297 Montauk LLC, 2297 Montauk Highway in Bridgehampton. Do we have jurisdiction?
Nope,
on
you
that?
gotta re-advertise it. You gotta read it, sorry.
Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code, 330-30, general regulations as it references 330-34, business districts table of dimensional regulations for a principal minimum side yard setback from 15 feet to 10.13 feet for 5,491 square feet, two-story office building. 2, 330-30, as it references 330-34, for a principal minimum side yard setback from 15 feet to 11.37 feet, and total side yards from 30 feet to 15 feet for a one-story residential building that will have 2 apartments. 3, 330-158, apartments in certain business districts to allow the second floor to allow the apartments to be located on the ground floor, where paragraph B requires the apartments to be on the second floor over offices, retail shops, or stores. And 4, 330-162.18, Hamlet Office Residential and Hamlet Commercial Residential building size to permit 2 apartments where 3 are required and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. Can you pass that to Susan, please?
Mr. Benacasa, you want to
Sure.
introduce yourself and state your address?
Carl Benacasa, 860 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York. For the applicant, good morning, good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. and that
Starting
kind of
off,
day.
you're starting off good.
So since we submitted this application, we've had hearings before the Landmarks Board and before the Planning Board, both of which have made recommendations as to modifying this application. As a result, we are in the process of modifying the application. So rather than go through the variances currently before you, we wanted to open up the hearing, perhaps hear public comment, and then adjourn for 60 days for the applicant to digest the comments from the public and the relevant boards and make modifications to the application.
Okay.
I know you are coordinating SECR. We did do a short form EAF. Anthony indicated to me you want a long form.
Yeah, when we do coordination, I think.
All right, so we'll prepare a long form and submit it to Anthony in the interim. But that's all I have to say.
Okay, and I just for the secret, Anthony, since the applicant is revising the plans, they should also be submitting revised plans to coordinate SECR, right? Or, I mean, can we coordinate SECR with the old plans?
You want us to, we could do an EAF for the current plans and then amend it for the amended plans? Or would you rather just wait for the amended plan?
I would prefer to do the secret review for the project that you're gonna move forward with. So if you're gonna amend the plans,
So
let's
then
do it
we'll
on that,
go-
because we're gonna go backwards then, so.
No problem. So once we have amendments that are agreeable to the applicant, I'll submit that with a long form.
With the long form.
No problem.
And you have subsequently met with the landmark committee?
We've been before the Landmarks Board and the Planning Board.
Okay,
And the comments were received from both those boards and members of the public are what's driving us to reconsider certain aspects. So rather than go through what is ultimately likely gonna be stale requests. I think-
does this require re-advertisement?
I don't know. I don't think, I mean, it's
I
gonna
mean-
depend on what the new plans look like.
Yeah.
Exactly, so I don't think it would right now. So we would just ask for a 60-day adjournment to modify.
Okay,
And if
so-
at the time you feel that that requires re-advertisement, then we can revisit that then, depending on what those changes are.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I have a question. What was the date of the original hearing?
Today.
Do we know that?
Today's the original hearing.
Oh,
Yeah,
this
they
is-
had
It
one
was
originally.
calendared, there was a
just-
notice
yes.
issue, so we had to re-advertise. So this is the first.
Okay, let's see if there's anybody here
I
who
thought
wants
it
to
All right,
speak.
is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on this application of 22797 Montauk Highway? Okay, please, one of you come up.
It's gonna change.
Flip a
Yeah, you
coin.
understand it's going to change, but come up and you can give us your comments anyhow.
My name is Pamela Harwood.
I need to swear you in.
My name is Pamela Harwood, address.
Yes, go ahead.
I live at 371 Woodland Drive in Bridgehampton, and I'm representing the Bridgehampton Civic Association.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are again at a public hearing for the third Farrell Building in the Bridgehampton Hamlet Office District, where right from the start, Farrell Development Company has submitted a site plan that does not conform to the town's building code for the zone. Today, variances are once again being requested for the members of the ZBA. Farrell realized that some of this might be out of date, but still. Farrell is asking for a special exemption to build a 5,491 square foot office building where 3,000 is allowed. To build over 5,000 square feet, the requirement for a special exemption is that the plan should include 3 apartments on the second floor, including one for a moderate income family. Instead, this plan only includes 2 of the required apartments. Town officials and community members have strongly advocated for the need for affordable housing. This is your chance to demonstrate that the community's need for all 3 apartments is more important than Farrell's having a bigger office building, by rejecting this plan to shortchange the 3 required apartments. Because I don't know whether any revised plan would also want to shortchange those apartments. The pre-submission site plan described an additional 900 square feet for a separate residential building, which would put the total building area over the maximum of 6,000 square feet, which is not even allowed, even with a special exemption. Such a separate building on Church Lane would bring more traffic to that quiet residential street and therefore create an undesirable change. There is not even supposed to be a separate residential building. In fact, the scale of this project will produce an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood. Farrell's plan also calls for side yard setbacks that are substantially closer to the property lines than are allowed in the building code, and the building and paved areas would go all the way back to Church Lane. These deviations and the variances are not necessary. Scaling back the size of the office building is the answer to staying within the building code. No variances are necessary for Farrell to do so. And now I come to one of the most important factors that the ZBA must take into consideration for the very first time. This property is sited in the new Bridgehampton Hamlet, Bridgehampton Main Street Historic District. Therefore, a certificate of appropriateness will have to be issued by the Landmarks and Historic Districts Board before the ZBA can grant any variances. The Historic Districts Board has already submitted their comments, and they indicate that the variances being requested are counter to the board's intent in creating this new historic district,
30
including,
seconds,
thank you, including excessive scale, setbacks that would put this new building too close to the neighbors, a contributing resources next door, and the separate residential building that would not be in keeping with the other houses on Church Lane. In conclusion, all the difficulties for which Farrell is requesting variances are self-created. He cleared all the trees on this property and demolished the former historic home that used to be on the property to give himself a vacant piece of land. So that's what he's starting with, a vacant piece of land. He can easily build an office building that includes 3 apartments on the second floor without being given any variances. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Katie, clarification. Do we have to get this certificate from the landmark before, only before a building permit is
Correct,
issued?
correct.
Not
There's
before-
actually-
Not before,
Correct.
Ms. Harwick, I just wanted to clarify a point that
Yes.
you had made.
Yes.
The fact is that this board can grant variances. However, the building permit cannot be issued until the COA is presented to the building department.
for clarifying.
Yes, so it's not, it's got nothing, we don't get necessarily held up by that. And I'm correct
Yes.
on that, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
there's actually nothing even in the town code that even requires the referral to the Landmarks Board. I mentioned it to the applicant, because the Landmarks Board had reached out to me, and they were like, this is in the new district, and so I had said to the applicant, will you please bring this to the Landmarks Board, because it's appropriate. It's not required, but it's appropriate, and so they did.
It was actually a member of the planning department who told me that.
It's a microphone.
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry, it was actually a member of the planning department that told us that and told that to the Landmarks and Historic Districts
Yeah,
Board.
I mean, listen, it makes
Right.
sense for them
Right.
to, it would be terrible for us to grant the variances and have the Landmarks Board say no, because, that's kind of our relationship with the Conservation Board as well.
Right.
We say to the applicant, it's better for you to try to
Right,
get everything done.
because you can't get a building permit until
So
that.
since this is the first rodeo with this historic district, how would that work? How would it work if you granted variances and then the Landmarks Board did not issue a certificate of appropriateness? What would happen then?
Won't get a building permit.
You won't get a building permit,
Ah,
We basically die in the crib.
oh, I see.
okay?
Okay, thanks very much.
Yes,
Thanks for the
okay, thank you.
clarification.
Anybody else in the audience who wishes to be heard?
Does Anthony want to weigh in on that at all?
About the.
On the microphone, on the planning board and the landmarks board?
I'm actually not the planner reviewing this application, so I don't know the nature of the discussion that happened with the referral, to be quite honest. And whether, I'll defer, as Katie said, that you can render your decisions, and the certificate of appropriateness will be required before a building permit gets
Right.
issued.
Yes. Are you an attorney?
No,
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Peter Fader, 371 Woodland Drive. I'm the treasurer of the Bridgehampton Civic Association.
I'm sorry, Peter, your last name
Fader, F as in Frank, E-D-E-R,
is? A-D-E-R?
F-E-D-E-R.
Okay.
Everybody says that. I'm not in favor of the board granting any of the variances requested by this applicant. It's located in the Bridgehampton Historic District. It's clearly out of scale with the character of the area. It would result in loss of open space and will negatively impact our historic hamlet. The present proposal is too large for the space, which is why the application has come before the board asking for relief. The proposal should be reduced in scale so that's to conform to the existing codes with no relief granted. Clearly, this hardship has been self-created by the applicant due to the sheer size and scale of the project. In closing, I'd just like to note, having come to these hearings for several years now, that a lot of ordinary citizens in this town have had to go out and hire high-priced attorneys simply to ask these various town boards not to change the laws on the books, but to merely enforce them. Now, I know in New York State that everyone is entitled to seek relief, but that doesn't necessarily follow that the boards have to grant the relief. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else in the audience? who wishes to
Can I
speak?
ask a question of the applicant?
Sure.
Is there any plan in the future to increase the number of apartments to 3?
That's one of the things being considered.
Okay.
They're gonna come back.
No, I
they're
understand that.
obviously-
I'm
yeah.
just asking right now if that's a possibility.
Well, we'll be very interested to see what the changes are. Hi, are you an attorney?
You see the paper, I'm an attorney.
Okay, that's what I figured. Please state your name and address.
Yeah.
So you only get 2 minutes then.
Joan McGivern from Toomey Latham. We're here representing 19 owners of 21 properties. To Peter Fetter's point, ordinary people have had to hire attorneys just to enforce their ordinary requests that the zoning law be respected. Specifically, our clients are adamantly opposed to the present proposal, which wasn't presented, but it proposes to have commercial vehicular ingress and egress from Church Lane, which is a residential street lined with historic and traditional single-family homes. There will also be negative impacts on our clients' on streets that our clients also live on, including Hildreth and Halsey Lanes. All 3 lanes are ill-suited to increase traffic, much less commercial traffic, given that they are 20 feet wide and do not have shoulders and sidewalks. The potential negative impacts of the present application are detailed in a report to the board submitted with my letter, which I just handed out, by our traffic engineer, Frank Pearson of Greenman Pedersen. And Peterson, he should be on Zoom after me. While our clients commend the applicant's proposal to include affordable housing in the first instance, a minimum of 2 apartments, if not 3, should be placed on the second floor of the proposed building and have the proposed building greatly scaled back. The present application represents a desire to maximally exploit the development potential of the parcel and does not represent a hardship. A maximum return on an investment is not a reasonable hardship for variances. But this is exactly what the applicant proposes. Alternatively, should the board be inclined to approve some modified proposal of a 2-story office building and have the residential affordable housing be placed in the rear, we would propose that it be placed closer to Church Lane with curbing and landscaping such that it's divided off from the parking lot for the office building, so that ingress and egress would, for the affordable housing, would only be on Church Lane, not through traffic for the office building. The alternative site plan is detailed in the traffic report. Finally, it's our understanding that the two other town boards have weighed in, and we believe that at present, that it's premature, even if 60 days passes before the planning board has had an opportunity to do its pre-submission report, as well as having the landmarks board weigh in. I think I'm
Okay.
under 3
We
minutes.
don't expect a decision in 60 days. We're coming with a new application
No,
in 60
we
days.
understand that.
Obviously, you wouldn't issue a decision unless the planning board has issued
Right,
its
we would
referral
wait for the
comments.
planning board
Yeah.
input. And as I said, we're looking forward to what the revised application will look like.
Yeah. I don't know if.
I'm going to ask in a
Frank Pearson
second.
is
I'll
on?
ask in a
Yeah.
second. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to be heard on this application? If not, is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to be heard on the application? Okay,
Thank you, Council.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
hi, we can't see you, there you are. Are you an attorney?
I'm here.
Are you an attorney?
I am an attorney.
Okay, please state your name and address.
My name is Meredith Berkowitz, and I reside in Bridgehampton at 1 Cody Way in Bridgehampton. I'm obviously a Bridgehampton resident. I'm also secretary of the Bridgehampton Civic Association.
Gotta swear with you.
Thank you very much for taking the time
attorney.
to hear the public's comments on this.
Right.
As others have already mentioned, many things I was going to talk about, including the impact of the new historic district that so many of us have worked hard to see established. It does seem like there is an agreement and understanding that the new guidelines will apply, so I think that's a great thing. I would like to address the reduction in the apartments and the setback relief, which is being requested. As Pamela Harwood indicated, we have to start to hold landowners to build towards the compliance with the code, not build with the expectation that variances will be granted. When New York State created zoning boards of appeal, they were created to deal with unforeseeable or unintended hardships that might inadvertently be created by legislation. To quote New York State guidance for zoning boards, a board acts as a safety valve to keep the zoning restrictions from being overly rigid. But what's happening here in Southampton in the last several years is that the zoning board is granting so many variances that they're becoming the norm, no longer the exception or just when a restriction is overly rigid. In essence, the zoning board is using the variance process to rewrite and override the legislative process of the code. And I think that's a concerning thing. I think, as I said, we have to start to encourage applicants to build to code. And so here, the code was drafted with the requirement for 3 apartments on the second floor of the office building. It was intentional. The legislative process was that they wanted to see 3 apartments for a building this size. So what's the point of putting it in the code if it's not going to be enforced in Hell 2? The building could absolutely be scaled back so as not to require the significant setback relief and to accommodate the 3 required apartments, especially if they're going to be in a separate building. So and the other thing I just wanted to add is, you might not get the certificate of appropriateness from the landmarks. If you grant these variances, you are setting precedent, and that would be precedent for others going forward. Again, I would just want to reiterate that I think it's very important that we start sending a message to those that are trying to develop their properties that they have to conform to the code. They have to try to work towards conforming with the code rather than looking always for the exceptions and the variances. And to the point that Peter Fader made, it is true, applicants have been, when they request variances, often the public or neighbors, they have to go out and hire attorneys like this group of neighbors here in order to just have the code upheld. That shouldn't be the case. Everyone might be entitled to relief, but it is the job of the board to try to enforce the code, except where a rigid application would result
30
in some
seconds.
sort of hardship, and that's just really not happening. So I want to thank you for your time, and I hope you will consider that as you make your decisions going forward on granting variances here.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else on Zoom who wishes to be heard?
Yeah, I have a few people.
Okay.
Yes, good evening. This is Frank Pearson.
Frank, are you an attorney?
I am not an attorney.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please state your name again and your address.
Sure, it's Frank Pearson, Pearson, and my business address is 325 West Main Street, Babylon, New York.
Okay, Frank. Let us have your comments.
Thank you. Again, my name is Frank Pearson. I am the Director of Transportation Safety for Greenman Peterson. I've been a professional engineer for 35 years. Prior to working at GPI, I did work at State DOT, and I was involved with site plan review. And GPI has been retained to review this site plan and variance applications for the proposed development. The applicant's proposed access plan would allow all traffic, including staff, visitors, sanitation pickup, and deliveries to exit onto Church Lane. The proposed site plan would place the internal roadway next to the residence at 58 Church Lane, subjecting that resident to noise and vehicle exhaust in their backyard. Additionally, the applicant proposed placement of the outdoor trash receptacle near the resident's rear yard will create odors and attract rodents, further affecting the resident's quality of life. Clearly, the applicant's site plan as presented is not a compatible use with the adjoining residence. As been noted before, Church Lane is a narrow road approximately 20 feet wide with one travel lane each direction, does not have shoulders or sidewalks, and the land use on Church Lane is mostly residential. The narrowness of Church Lane and lack of shoulders make Church Lane unsuitable for more traffic, particularly commercial vehicles. Moreover, vehicles exiting onto Church Lane that want to go west on Montauk Highway would need to take a circuitous route along other residential streets, including Hildreth Lane and Halsey Lane. Both of these roadways are also approximately 20 feet wide, do not have shoulders or sidewalk. And this would basically create a detour of almost a half mile compared to making the left turn onto Montauk Highway. In addition to the narrow lanes, the roadway geometry at the intersection of Church Lane and School Street is unsuitable for vehicles that want to turn right onto School Street and make another right turn onto Hildreth Street. And there is a figure that kind of shows this, that's part of the attachment that was presented. School Street between Church Lane and Hildreth is only about 25 feet wide, which is not an adequate length to store a larger vehicle. Furthermore, a vehicle basically has to make a U-turn to get from Church Lane onto Hildreth. An alternative site plan, which is in your packet also, was developed to separate the office building from the apartment building by placing a landscape buffer between the two uses on the site. The office would have ingress and egress to Montauk Highway and be compatible with the adjoining land uses. It is understood that NISDOT, New York State DOT, does look to manage access to the state highway. However, as demonstrated, Church Lane is not an adequate roadway for additional traffic, particularly commercial vehicles.
Sir, you have
Moreover,
about
most
another
of the properties
15 to 20 seconds. Another 15 to
Okay.
20 seconds, please.
Most of the properties along Montauk Highway have full access, that is, term restrictions are not in place. In summary, the applicant's site plan would generate numerous negative impacts on the community and just adjacent residents. These concerns can be easily remedied with the suggested alternative site plan that would limit access to Church Lane for the proposed apartments and require the office vehicular traffic to exclusively use Montauk Highway for access. Thank you
That's
for
3
the
minutes.
opportunity to speak.
Okay. Is there anyone else on Zoom?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to remind everybody that we are not considering this application at this moment. We're waiting to see what the revised application will look like. So some of these comments may be unnecessary at this point. So we would, I just want to keep that in mind. We still haven't seen what the final application looks like. Okay. Yes, sir.
Hello,
Art.
I'm Preston Phillips.
Can I swear you in? Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
I'm Preston Phillips, 1093 Bridgehampton, Sag Harbor Turnpike, Bridgehampton, New York. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm a longtime resident of Bridgehampton and an architect who has practiced locally since 1977. I've designed scores of buildings in the intervening decades, and to my recollection, have never appeared in front of this august and important board. The primary reason for that admission is that the very first line I draw of any project is a red line encompassing the principal building envelope on the site plan or survey, inside of which the building evolves. Given the width of the property before you tonight, it is simply nonsensical to suggest that the design of this building could not have evolved in such a way to avoid any encroachment into the side yard setbacks. From the overhead views of the adjacent building lots, it appears that this property is approximately 3 times the width of the neighboring Cibello property to the east, where the side yard relief is being sought. The Cibello building is modest by any assessment, and the proposed building as designed would loom over, particularly if allowed to sit within the side yard setback. I recommend against this application in its current form and suggest a more restrained and respectful approach in keeping with the size and scale of the buildings in the historic district in which this property lies, as well as the current zoning code. I am most grateful for your time and consideration of this important matter.
Okay, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, we have one other individual. All right, are you an attorney?
Yes, my name is John Krimler. I'm not an attorney.
Okay, can I swear you in? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
John Krimler, 347 Paul's Lane, Bridgehampton.
Could you spell your last name, please?
Sure. Kriendler.
Okay, John.
But I want to associate myself with all of the speakers who have spoken after the original introduction. My main concern, although I share the other concerns that have been raised, is with safety and traffic on Hildreth Lane. My daughter lives with her family at the intersection of Hildreth Lane, Church Lane, and School Street. And we've seen serious accidents from the front door, looking out the window. People use Hildreth Lane to avoid traffic on Montauk Highway, and usually at excessive speeds. So anything that would increase the traffic on either Church Lane or Hildreth Lane would be a big mistake in my view. I won't address the other issues, but wanted to get this main concern on the table for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else on Zoom who wishes to be heard?
Yes.
Okay. John, I think you have to leave.
Yep.
Yeah. They just, they post you out, yeah, okay. Okay,
I think it's a host problem.
it could be.
Yeah, good job, Cole.
I tried.
I know.
Marilyn, there we go.
Marilyn.
That makes it easier when they do that.
Yeah.
Marilyn Alper. Charles?
You can speak.
Ms. Alper, are you there?
I'm sorry, I had a problem to connect
Okay.
We hear
to the
you.
video, and it keeps going off, but
Okay. Can I
my
swear you
name
in?
is
Can
Marilyn
can I-
Alpert.
Okay. And can I swear you in?
I live in Bridgehampton,
All right, wait,
I
wait,
have
before
some
you go on.
Hold on a second.
I need to swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name and your address.
My name is Marilyn Alper. I live at 99 Trelawney Road, Bridgehampton. I agree with the zoning issues, but the traffic on Church Lane has become a byway for the highway, and that carries over pretty much all day for people who want to avoid going through town and slowing down. And I don't think it really can take any more of a load. It's become a real thoroughfare for commercial traffic as it is, and it's more than it needs to be. And it spills over, goes right through sometimes to Ocean and then on to Parsonage. It really has become an issue, and it's a very narrow area that is primarily residential, and it affects people living south of that by all that traffic coming through. And I appreciate the opportunity to share it just as a resident with no architectural, no any background. But it has really gotten so awful that you cannot walk on Church Street at certain times of day. People go, there's a four-way stop, nobody's stopping. You know, it really has become dangerous as a bypass, as a road for people to take to their houses, and even to take down for Halsey and going towards Hildreth where it comes through. And it's a very dangerous road as it is. There's a lot of speeding. Nobody stops most of the time. They tap their brake thinking that's a stop. And it's dangerous. There is no shoulder. And it's narrow. And it's really a street that can't be walked on because of this. And I would hate to see additional large vehicles or more commercial vehicles using an entry or exit onto Church Street. I appreciate the opportunity to share my feelings about this, and thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Alper.
Thank you.
I'm familiar with that area, and it is,
It's busy,
it's busy.
but it's always been busy.
And there's, every road in town is busy,
Exactly.
Montauk Highway.
including Mount Deck Highway. Is there anyone else, Charles, on Zoom? Pardon me?
No one else.
Okay. All right. As I said, we haven't really seen what the application looks like yet. We appreciate all the comments that have been made. I'm sure Mr. Benincasa has been taking notes feverishly, and we'll look forward to having him back at some point. I have action on this. When do you want to come back, Carl?
Do you
2 months,
want
he said.
any comments from?
Oh, I'm sorry.
members of the
Anybody
board?
else on the board wants to comment again?
We don't know what, we don't
We
really.
don't know what we're commenting on.
I would just say that neither this or the new application is going to deal with any relief with respect to parking or traffic or access. Traffic on Church is a concern for the planning board. So that's not something we
Right.
need to be concerned with.
Would you be considering, I know that you've already received a copy of this, the alternative site plan, changing the access to Church Street, cordoning it off so that it's only for the residences, or blocking that and having the only access out onto Montauk? Is that something that,
Nothing is off the table. at
okay,
this point.
wonderful.
And
That's what I want to
including
hear.
size of the building, because that also impacts the amount of parking that's required. So
They can
I'm sure that
say
that will be a
And
consideration as well.
I'll just
Take
say,
it off
you know,
the
there's
table.
been some comments that perhaps this board is a rubber stamp for applicants. I have found that to be anything but the case.
It is anything but the case.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, I know.
Well, and my comment is, this board did approve a reduced number of apartments on some of the other Farrell developments in the past. I was a nay on that, and I would be a nay on reduction of apartments on this as well. So, you got some to make up.
To be fair, though, the testimony on at least one of those was that they could not get the flow from Suffolk County Department of Health. So it wasn't necessarily that the applicant didn't want to provide the housing, they were unable to build the housing.
Understood.
So they were unable to build,
Three.
get the approvals.
At least on one of those, I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Septic flow.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah.
The Department of Health.
Right.
Okay, you've gotten a
You've
lot of
got some
input.
feedback, yep.
What-
Okay,
what day you
Carl,
came back?
when do you want to come back?
You wanna do that April 4th date that we did for the, Robins? No, you don't want them both on the same.
No.
No.
No, 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 no,
No,
no.
I think we'd have a lot of people in the audience,
I've
yes.
got a lot of.
That'll be a late night.
How about the meeting after that? Is-
April 18th. Okay.
Okay,
Does that work for you?
works for me.
Okay.
Okay.
So I move that we hold this application open for all purposes, and we adjourn it until April 18th.
Second.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody in the audience. Okay.
Okay, item 3 on the agenda, Yellow Shack LLC, 651 Dune Road in West Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-391-2-21. On December 15th, 2022, by decision number D022127, this board granted relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. Town Code 138-7A, coastal erosion management permit required, compliance with provisions, effect on zoning regulations. And Town Code 138-9B, structural hazard area, for a proposed two-story dwelling to be constructed on a coastal erosion hazard area. Town Code 138-17C1 for a proposed pool and raised deck to be located seaward of the coastal erosion hazard area. Line 3, Town Code 330-84D, pyramid height for a pyramid encroachment in the amount of 3,128.675 cubic feet. 1,459.945 cubic feet on the east side and 1,668.73 cubic feet on the west side. And Town Code 330-83A, 4 yards to construct unroofed steps and a deck higher than 1 foot above ground level located in the required front yard. By letter dated December 18, 2023, Nicholas Vero, architect for the owner, proposed, requested that said decision be modified as the proposed dwelling has been designed with a proposed pyramid encroachment in the amount of 2,983 cubic feet, 1,313 cubic feet on the east side and 1,669 cubic feet on the west side, and the locations of the swimming pool and deck at the rear of the proposed dwelling has been reconfigured. In addition, the deck at the front of the proposed building still requires relief from Town Code 330-83A, 4 yards, to allow the unroofed steps and a deck higher than 1 foot above ground level to be located in the required front yard at the setback of 40.4 feet.
What is jurisdiction? It's for you. Lead.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And your name, please?
Nicholas Vero, architect, 120 Mill Road, West Hampton Beach, for the applicant, the new owner of the property, Yellow Shack LLC. I'm here before this board to ask for a modification to what you've already approved. And I'll just simply start by saying the requests I'm asking for are actually less than what you have approved.
Yes, that was duly noted.
Yeah, okay, so thank you for paying attention to that. We've also, in the design process, or the redesign process, we kept the footprint smaller, okay? And the reason why we did that is because the septic system that was designed, that the site plan that you approved originally, there was no way that that was gonna work with the health department. So I redesigned everything and reduced the footprint. So I'll just reiterate what the footprint is. The lot coverage originally approved by this board was 12.2%, which was 4,259.3 square feet. Our proposed site plan footprint is 3,778 square feet, which is 10.8 4%. So it's a net in board's favor, a reduction of 481 square feet. And we did that in order to get the septic system to be approved. We did recently.
Because the house is smaller, or because you
The
removed
hou-
decking?
The house is smaller, the footprint is smaller. We reduced the footprint, again, because the design of the house was such that we were able to make it smaller. We're asking for a smaller pool. The pool that was approved was 648 square feet. We were asking for a 240 square foot pool, okay? The deck that was approved by this board, on the south side of the house, was 1,462 square feet. Our proposed deck is 1,365 square feet. So everything that we were asking for is a reduction in what the board has already approved.
And what was the footprint reduction again? It was from what
The
to
net
what?
flood, okay, I'm sorry, 4,259.3 square feet to 3,778 square feet, okay? Which is a 481.3
Okay.
square foot reduction. You approved the pyramid. And we came back to you and actually net our pyramid calculations, because of the reduction of the house, are smaller. And that was explained in our request letter that you should all have a copy of. So I think we have I'm just trying to find it on my notes here, I apologize for that. It's a reduction of 145.675 cubic feet total, okay, both sided, both east and west side. So we made an effort to reduce the size of the house. Again, my client wanted a little bit smaller house. We wanted to have a little bit, smaller pool, possibly a little bit configuration of the deck, which, we did if you looked at my site plan and compared it to the site plan that you approved. So net, everything that we're asking for is a reduction of what was approved. And that's
Tell me
the
what site
modification.
plan you're referring to, because I was getting confused.
There was a site plan, and the only thing that I had that you referred to, site plan-wise, was a site plan,
On this sheet here?
yes,
Okay, because it was,
okay?
it was a little tough to read.
Mr. Chairman, my problem that I had with this whole application was that you stamped an approved survey from David
Right.
Fox that just showed the existing house on it.
That's what
And
I was getting confused about,
we looked, and that's the only thing that was produced by you guys, okay? Again, we didn't do it, so the survey was approved, date stamped, and I have a copy of it here somewhere. You should have it. So that was a little confusion on my end as I was preparing this application, because there was no real survey that was approved. The only,
So the only one I have is the old,
and it
This
says
is the
approved
one.
on it,
It
that's
says
correct.
approved,
It says approved.
2020.
That's the one from
22.
December 2022.
Yes,
Yes,
correct,
but it
okay?
doesn't have
It
what
doesn't
the-
doesn't have the proposal from the previous architect on
okay,
that,
okay, so that's what I was,
yeah, so
and then
we-
I was looking at this, and I was going,
Right, so I had to refer to this because I'm
Okay.
assuming that's what you had and that's what you looked at, okay? So if you compare my site plan to their site plan, you'll see that I moved the house off of Dune Road by about 10 feet.
all right, where is that measurement here in the,
Yeah, and it's hard to
I
read. I
know.
believe
Read it.
it's advertised as 31.9 feet front yard setback, and I think that's what was read by Keith. And then we're asking for a front yard setback greater than that, and I think our front yard setback.
For the steps?
Yes, for the steps, for the,
all right,
the
it's
steps.
40.4.
40.4.
And we have a notice from a principal building inspector that there is no setback variance
That's
relief
correct.
required for that.
But I had to mention it in my cover letter
Okay.
so that these are
Okay.
things that you had discussed in your
Okay.
decision.
Okay.
Furthermore, we did obtain Board of Health approval finally. We did obtain a coastal erosion hazard permit, both to demolish the house and for the construction of the house.
But
So-
for this new house?
For the new house, yeah.
You have a coastal erosion permit for the new house?
Yes, I believe that's part of my submission. I think they did it all as one, demo and new.
All right,
And
where is it?
Yes,
Correct? You have a copy of that?
variance was granted on no, that's,
Do we have a copy of it? No, but I think we have it.
previous owner received a variance from the zoning board of appeals for a coast erosion hazard
If you look
permit.
at the coastal permit, it should be the
Right.
last page
Yeah.
of his submission.
There, I see,
Very last page of the.
Oh, got it.
yeah.
I think that's what you're looking for.
And this, let's just see what the date is on this.
It's pretty recent. but-
November 23.
November 23.
Okay, so this is the
This is the final.
for
That was the
the,
new house, I just know that was the permit that he was just referring to.
okay, and that's for the new house.
That is correct, that was for demo and new house.
Beautiful.
And the property has been, the existing yellow shack, That's why it's Yellow Shack LLC has been demolished.
Been demoed already?
Yes, it has.
All right, okay.
That was a landmark.
Excuse me?
That was a landmark.
It was a landmark because that's one of the last houses before you entered West Hampton Dunes, right?
Yeah.
So the only,
Still got a lot of beach out there,
the only
too.
thing you're asking for that's an increase is this 112.3 feet from the proposed pool to the top of the dune.
Yes,
correct?
and that's only because we moved our pool to the west a little bit, as you can see.
At all of 5 feet.
All of 5 feet, right, and that's what created that little bit of a.
I have no problem with this.
Yeah, given that you're reducing everything, I think a 5-foot increase on that one issue is nothing.
Excuse me?
So I'm sure you'd like to get started.
I would like to start tomorrow.
Get a shovel.
You can't start, you
We already
can't even
shoveled.
start tomorrow, but I think, is there anybody else who'd like to comment on this application on the board?
Well, let's go to the public.
Honestly, we appreciate all the efforts that were made.
Well, it was made because it couldn't get a Department of Health approval, so.
No, I didn't even apply for the
Oh, you
original
didn't?
one. I knew that we weren't gonna get that approved.
You knew we
We
weren't
would have had
gonna
to
get
go
it.
through variances with the Board of Health in order, because the
know.
previous applicant was looking to pump septic uphill on either side of the house with the septic system in front. I'm like,
Oh,
I
okay.
just don't want to go there with that.
No,
So,
all right.
you know,
I
no-
think that was a
With all
smart
due
move.
respect to the engineer who designed that.
Is the existing building still there?
No, it's gone.
It's
It's
gone.
yeah.
Was it called Yellow Shack because it was yellow?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
And all the interior was yellow. It's
I
very-
don't
Yeah,
know
we
if
were
they-
just
I was
looking
in
at
it a
it.
couple of times. Maybe some of it was, I don't remember. I was in, just in the living room once, so.
Yeah.
No need to go into the house because
Okay.
we were in demo
Okay,
in the
is there
house.
anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on the application of 651 Dune Road in West Hampton? Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard?
No.
Okay, Keith, this is
Seeing
yours.
and hearing no one?
Wait, I just want to say something.
Okay.
We didn't, because it's a modification, we didn't make any referrals for this, so I would just, Nick, I'd ask you to submit the survey that is attached to this coastal erosion permit, so the board knows that it's been
I
approved.
did give you that survey. Are you talking about the survey itself?
I want to know that Janice has already issued a coastal erosion permit for this house.
This was the demo, you said. This was for the demolition.
That was for the demolition and the new house. And there should be a reference in there for my site plan, because working with Teresa Mason, she made me put on my site plan the walkway to the beach. Okay, and that was part of the condition of the new house.
Can you just get a copy of exactly what they were looking at when they issued the permit?
Sure, that's.
That's
yes,
the
that-
old-
Yes, but that's
that-
like, so, it's not a typical survey. It's
No, because it's
really weird.
actually the
Yeah,
the
it's very-
stakeout survey
Yeah.
but they approved my site plan. I'm just trying to pull out the coastal erosion permit. Bear with me one sec, as I was shuffling everything back into my pile.
I just want to make sure, because sometimes, they would issue a coastal permit based on the variances that were granted previously. So,
Definitely not, because we were referred to them from the building department to get a coastal erosion hazard permit for that, for our house. Katie, you have the copy of the coastal erosion permit?
Yeah, we've got it right here.
And does it refer to my site plan in there?
No.
It doesn't have a specific referral.
Okay, I understand what you're saying then, okay. So, I would assume.
I think it's interesting that they would grant it. If you needed different variances, I'm surprised that they would issue it.
Here's my permit.
I believe you. I just want to make sure it's consistent with this proposal and not the one that was previously granted.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. It doesn't make any reference to my plan
It doesn't, not
on this,
specifically, no.
okay, which is not good. Okay. I'm just trying to read fast through this thing.
Yeah, you could just submit it.
Okay, all right, so I will do that, so.
So what is he going to submit, Katie?
Some sort of, I don't know if Janice stamps, I don't know if she stamps them, but just whatever survey or site plan
Any site plans?
Janice had reviewed to issue this permit, so it's consistent with what's before you. And maybe she said, oh, this is better than it was before, and that's why she issued it, I don't know. But we didn't refer it, so,
Yeah, when I got this back from her, all I got was that coastal erosion hazard permit that says demolition in new house.
I believe it, but you must have submitted something to her to look at.
Of course I did, yes, and then, like I said, Teresa Mason made comments based on, wanted to make sure they had the walkway and the contours correctly, and that was the revised site plan that showed that, so, all right, I will ask Teresa tomorrow. Or I'll ask Janice tomorrow, if I get in touch with her, okay?
Okay, so that can be done through written submission, I assume?
Yes, yes.
Okay, Keith, this is yours.
Okay. I'll move to close written submissions. Leave it
I'm
alone.
sorry. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to be heard on this application?
Well, I have something to submit too.
Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this application?
No.
Okay.
There actually are comments too. There's something that says revise something, somewhere I've written down, revise the plans to show the elevations.
It was from the chief building inspector that we got in our packet tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, that was all done.
That was
That's all
done?
done? Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, Keith.
All right, Keith.
Are we all done now?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. I'll move to close written submission on 216 with a determination on 3/7.
Second.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duro.
Thank you.
too.
Good night.
On the holdover applications, item 4, Brian J. Farrell as trustee of the Joseph G. Farrell Jr. Irrevocable Children's Trust, 1056 Sag Road in Sagaponic, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-40-3-43.1.
Carl Benacasa, 860 Montauk Highway for the applicant. We were last here on December 7th, and the board had asked us to provide a scaled floor plan so that the building inspector could determine parking. That submission has been made, and a memo was submitted to the file on January 30th, prepared by by Marjorie Riley from the building department, and she determined that no additional relief is required for parking regulations. I don't know, I'm sure the board is in, are you in?
We just got it tonight.
Okay.
So,
Based on that, we are compliant with parking. I don't know if you need me to go through all the relief we're requesting again. It's certainly in the record.
so the parking is for 6 bedrooms,
That's right.
and you've put that on the survey? You've noted it
Well,
on the
the-
survey?
The garage is there, there's the parking, the driveway and the 2 driveways and parking areas are on there. You want us to actually identify where the cars would park? I guess there would be 2, 4, 2 in the garage, and then 2 over here. So really, there's 8.
2 in the one parking area, 2 in the garage, and 2 in the other parking area, is
I
that
think you could
correct?
do 4 in one driveway, it's 25 feet wide, and it has 2 parking areas, so that's 4 cars. Over here, you could do another 2, as that's 20 or 17 feet wide, and then 2 could fit in the garage.
Okay,
So that's 8 spaces.
okay. There's no pyramid relief requested
No
here.
pyramid relief requested, nope.
Okay, and I know that there was some comments from a neighbor, and I think you had agreed to have some discussions with that neighbor. Did that happen?
I don't know if we've had discussions, no. We are willing to buffer that line.
Okay, so, any other questions from the board members on this application? This was really, the question was the parking. I don't think that, I mean, the neighbor had some comments, and I'm sure we'll hear from her again.
It's a tremendous amount of relief.
It's a lot of relief, it's a small lot.
The size of the home is consistent with the neighborhood. Remember, this lot is small, but it sits in 120,000 square foot zoning, so it's about a tenth or a ninth of what's required under zoning. It is a single and separate lot. It is available for development, and the relief is consistent with other relief granted in the neighborhood and the existing lot conditions. So I do not think this is a substantial amount of relief in consideration of how this area has developed and the situation this lot finds itself.
Any comments? from
Again, the
board?
footprint is only 1,400 square feet. It's not a massive structure.
It's a very odd-shaped piece of property.
It's incredibly
clearly.
odd-shaped.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it
just like a little sliver. It's like a point.
It is.
But it is entitled to be developed under
Yes,
the law.
That's right, it is entitled to be developed, and we
There are
look at,
property rights, yeah.
we look at the requested variances and to the reasonableness of the variance requests. So, yes, that's true. Anybody else that wants to comment on this property?
No comments?
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard? Please step up to the,
Same person as the last time.
all right, so I don't need to swear you in again because you've been sworn in. You're Lisa Rosenberg.
I am.
Okay, thank you.
Right, so I'm back to, because I still have an issue with the number of variances being requested. 8 in total, from what I've counted in the description. Nowhere in the immediate neighborhood is there or has there been any kind of development of a property similar to the one that is proposed for this property. And I believe that it's objectionable and a detriment to the neighboring properties to allow the area variance as it is currently stated. And I think it could be accomplished in another way by reducing, fewer, smaller reconfiguration of the buildings and accessories. This property is less than half the size of the property that my home is on. I have a 1-level, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house that is under 2,000 square feet. My property is 0.83 of an acre. This is 0.3615 of an acre. It's basically just jamming a lot of things onto a tiny space. And I think that the appearance of it is not going to be very wonderful. And I also feel that Farrell, who is, an extremely prolific and experienced developer, and he basically goes into this property with a self-inflicted hardship. I heard the term used before, it applies here too. And in listening to everybody that's been speaking tonight, it seems that they're all stating things in the same way that I have. And I think that, yes, I understand that he has the right to develop the property, but I feel that he should do it in a different way. And he shouldn't be able to be so close to the road. Every border of that property, he has asked for a very small distance that is way more than what is allowed in zoning. So I think there should be larger setbacks from the borders, and
Got about 15 seconds.
thank you. And I just ask for your consideration in this. I greatly object to the way things are looking.
Thank you.
So there are comparable lots if you move down Sag Road. Again, this is a very oddly shaped lot, so you're not going to see many in the immediate neighborhood. And in fact, most of the immediate neighborhood is completely undeveloped, either preserved or undeveloped. If you go further down Sag Road, and I presented this last time, you see 2 triangular lots, one specifically all the way down here, that are developed. And both in a way that are similar to this development. I would note that the neighbor's house, Ms. Rosen's house, if she were to build that today, she would need relief of 54 feet to permit the principal dwelling at a front yard setback of 26 where 80 would be required, of 76 feet to permit her principal dwelling at a rear yard setback of 24 where 100 is required. So if she were to build hers today, she'd be looking for very similar relief. And her lot, as she mentioned, is less burdened than this one. A self-created hardship is not buying a lot that's small. That's not creating a hardship for yourself. A self-created hardship is manipulating the lot in a way that makes it difficult to comply with zoning. That is not the case here. This was not a self-created hardship. This single and separate lot existed as it exists throughout it, without any effort of my client. And again, the name, as you all know, brings a certain connotation. That can't be considered.
It's irrelevant.
Yes,
It's irrelevant, yes.
I think I addressed that in one of the meetings.
yes. In fact, I think the woman up there is for the last one, just so you know.
So the property to the, what is this? The east, that's wooded, is it not?
Yeah, so if you look at it like this, that you're coming down Sag Road, Sag Harbor's up here, and Sagaponic's down here. This is
Yep.
all preserved open space.
All preserved
Same
open
with over
space.
Yeah,
here.
pretty much.
Okay,
The
and on your survey, you've got vacant wooded next to the driveway towards the point of the triangle
Yes.
to the south. Is that going to remain wooded?
Yeah, there's nothing we can do with that.
Okay.
Are we in the APOD? I actually don't know that for sure. We're not asking for any clearing relief, but I can't imagine whatever if it is in the APOD, whatever the percentages are developed has more than has eaten up. So yeah, that would remain.
And you were willing to consider a buffer?
Absolutely.
What kind of a buffer?
10 to 12-foot green giants. We'd be more than happy with that.
And where is that buffer gonna go?
On Miss Rose's properties. On the border, I should say. On our property, but on the border.
Okay.
On the border to the north?
Right.
Yes. She's really the only the neighbor.
That's the neighbor to the, you are the neighbor
Yes.
directly to the north?
And we would buffer that whole northern line. And I would note that the nearest portion of her home to our structure is, to the structure presented is, I actually did the analysis.
Why do I say 45 feet?
The proposed dwelling is 160 feet from the nearest corner of Miss Rosen's home, with approximately 100 feet of wooded area between them. And we'll buffer that in addition.
Okay. Buffer it.
We'll buffer the buffer, yes.
Okay, so really, the only thing that's gonna be seen is the building from the street, if you're standing right in front of it.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
All right, wait a second, we want to, did you want
Moment, we
to
haven't called
comment,
you
Ms.
yet.
Rosen?
The only comment I would make is, again, the number of variances, and at my side, it's about 11 feet from the border of my property. And it is an imposition on my privacy, whether or not there's a few feet of woods in between.
But with all due respect, 160 feet of wooded land is not
It's not gonna block
insignificant.
sound.
I know, but in
It's
the
going to
reality
block-
is that
But
if
you're
the
right on
property
Sag
gets
Road,
developed, it's going to have sound associated with it.
Right.
So, I mean, that's
You hear
just,
the cars going up and down the street. don't
everybody
you?
wants to live in the woods with nobody around them, but
Correct.
these properties get developed. I mean, that's part of what happens. Is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to be heard?
Thank you.
Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard? Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to be heard? Okay.
I believe,
We have that lady that was.
I believe she appeared previously on the earlier application, so she might have got them
She wasn't for this?
confused. Yeah.
Carl,
Same name.
did you see the note about revising the survey to indicate the latest revision date?
Yes,
Well,
it came-
we can absolutely, we'll do that in the written comment.
Okay, and then I don't know if you ever fixed it,
Did you
but
get a copy
make
of
sure it
this?
says Sagaponic.
Sagaponic, we did do that. We'll make sure, and you want the latest revision date?
Yeah, that was
Yes.
Marge's comment.
Okay. Oh, yes, on Marge's comment, yes,
Yes.
yeah. We just got that.
Okay. Is there anybody else from the board who wishes to comment on this application?
No.
Okay, so it's my lead. I would say that we are going to close this public hearing, but we will hold the application open for written comments until, what's the date? 2/16, with a decision on 3/7.
Second,
Mr. Leonard.
John.
Yes, John. John?
Aye.
Mr.
Oh, my
Macedonia?
God.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Just gonna
Mr.
repeat that.
Tudhill?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
I,
Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm almost done.
Item 6 is Stacy Russell. This is a holdover, 10 Birchwood Lane, East Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-291-3-19.
This was a holdover, as I recall.
Good evening.
It is a holdover.
Mr. Russell, I believe I have sworn you in.
No.
I didn't swear you in at the last meeting?
Oh, the left.
Yeah, so you've already been sworn in on this application. I don't have to repeat it.
You still gotta tell the truth.
We could do it again if
Oh,
you like.
I'm so sorry, I'm sorry. Okay, Mr. Taylor. Okay, sorry, Mr. Taylor. Okay, so what's happened since we last saw you?
Well, on the last one, they was concerned about the numbers, which I spoke with the architect, and the numbers were the 4,056 cubic feet, and I think the other one was like 7 or something like that.
Over
Yes.
7,000, yeah.
7,700.
Yes.
Okay, so now what have you done? You've reduced it?
Well, no, we wanted to, I mean, I spoke to the neighbors to the left and to the front, but they haven't been out since, because they wanted to see go over the plan, so, but they didn't have a problem with the addition. They just wanted to see what was gonna be built.
So you want to hold off on any further discussion about this matter until they've had a chance to review it?
Yes, because they haven't been out here
Oh, I
since
understand.
for the winter, so.
They haven't missed much in terms
Yeah.
of weather, yes. All right, so, but what's, but there has been a reduction in the pyramid relief request, is that correct?
Yes, from 7,700 to 4,056.
Yes.
Okay, and we have that in the diagrams, correct, that were submitted?
That's,
Okay. 4,056.7 cubic feet. Okay. And the,
Sounds much better.
yeah, it sounds better, but it's still, do we know what the ceiling heights are? Do we?
It's
do
a
we just-
garage.
Yes,
That's
it's
a
a
garage,
garage,
but
yeah.
what's the ceiling height on the garage? 9.6 inches, looks like. Is that about right? Okay. It looks like that on the diagram that I have.
must be about 9
And this is a
foot.
property burdened by, it's narrow, as I recall.
Yes.
Structures are close to the property line.
It is.
Very narrow. Okay. So what you're asking for at this point is to hold off on us going further until you've had an opportunity to discuss with neighbors what the plan
Yes, because
is.
I haven't had a chance to.
Yeah, okay, and then
I
you would
just
come.
spoke to them personally.
And then you would come back.
Yes.
And can I suggest that if in fact they review it, and, guys, just listen to me for a second. If in fact they review it and they have no objections, they could submit letters to
Oh,
the
yes,
zoning
yes,
board.
definitely, yes.
And you could do that as part of a written submission.
Yes.
Is that agreeable to the board, or do you want him to come back?
Yeah, well, but we still think it's a lot, over 4,000 square feet of cubic relief being requested. Is it because of that dormer that's on there? Does that dormer add to it? I was looking at.
It's partially the dormer, but it's, I mean, the fact of the matter is, you're adding a 2-car garage with almost 10-foot ceilings and an attic with storage space. I think
that's-
honestly, for me, I think you need to make some choices. You need to bring that number down considerably for me.
The 4,000.
Yeah, I'm not going to vote to approve anything at that amount of cubic feet relief. And that's for you to figure out what you would do with it. But I think it's excessive to ask to put in a 2-car garage with attic space and put it 5 feet away from the neighbor's yard.
Okay. So I
I agree with Michael and John on this. and that, even though the neighbors say yes, I still think that the gentleman needs to sharpen up his pencil and reduce that number.
So the ceiling height in the garage plus the attic storage area are ways of places to look at some modification. So, you know, you need to get 4 votes on the board. It sounds like there are 3 who are opposed at this point with this configuration.
Another thing could be reducing it from a 2-car garage to a 1-car garage.
Yeah, the thing is, it's no storage now, 'cause there's no basement. You know, it's just for the boiler.
Understood.
And
Is that
But you
dormer
do
part
have
of the-
quite a bit of land, and do you still have all there's a frame playhouse, a frame, and 2 frame
yes,
sheds?
and they're gonna be gone.
Yeah.
That's.
Those are being removed.
Yes.
Is there anything preventing you from putting storage in the rear yard? You have a huge amount of space in the rear yard.
Well, the thing was to have it attached to the house, you know, to, instead of having it in the back.
Right.
You know,
I understand. It's just more relief than we usually grant.
Is the garage gonna have a basement or no?
No.
Is it just possible, if you put basement in the garage, you can get storage on that? And then have to go up so high.
Well, I mean,
You understand what I'm
if you
saying?
cut the height from the, you know, the top, I mean, you could cut it down some, I mean, still, I mean.
Because the pyramid comes, because you're close to the property line, that's why the pyramid's coming in.
We generally don't like to look at anything over 4,000, preferably between 3 and 3,500 max.
All right.
So if you could give that some consideration.
All right.
Anybody else?
Get rid of 1,000 cubic feet, you know?
Well,
I'm
Not
gonna
that
leave it
we're
o-
giving you
I'm
any
listen,
direction with regard to
I'm gonna
that.
leave it open, because he's gotta wait for the neighbors and
Okay.
stuff anyhow, all
I
right?
agree, I
Yeah, we
agree.
should leave it open.
So
Okay,
see if we can get rid of another 1,000 cubic feet at least.
at least 700.
But we think what you're hearing is that even if the neighbors said, oh, yeah, no problem, there's at least 3 board members that feel like it's too much. So take a look at it and see how you could shrink it.
How much time do you think you need?
Well, wait a
To
second,
talk
I
to the
have
neighbors.
to, I have
Yeah, I know,
to.
I could ask him a question.
Okay,
Can I?
sorry, sure. Sure.
How much time do you think you'll need before you can come back and take a
He
look?
doesn't want you to ask.
Hey, I have to speak to the neighbor, because I don't know when they're gonna come out.
Yeah,
And then I have to get back to the
Understood.
architect and see what,
Understood.
so,
Could be a while.
maybe April.
But the issue is not the neighbor, the issue is your ability to lower
Yes, I
that
understand
number.
that.
So otherwise, you can do what Mr. Leonard suggests about putting some building, some shed in the back, where a lot of people do, to prevent you having to have such a large garage.
Yeah, I think your biggest problem with this is that it's a 2-car garage. I think if you reduce it to a 1-car garage with storage space over it, you would probably fall within the parameters of what we would be willing to approve. And then you could do like a shed in the back or something like that.
Or a basement and one story.
1.5 or something. Yeah. Did you want to ask if there's anybody else online or anything?
Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard? If not, is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be
Maybe
heard
Candace would like.
on the application of 10 Bridget? Okay.
What's the last meeting in April?
It's good?
Yeah,
Yes, after
good?
Easter, everything.
Okay, I'll move to hold it over for all purposes to 4/18.
Second.
Mr. Tuthill,
Aye.
Mr. Leonard,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, so 4/18.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a secret resolution, if I can find it. Wait, I think it's in here. Yeah, got it here. Okay. Whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals has received requests and submittals for variances in connection with the application of 3310 Noyak LLC for property located at 3310 Noyak Road, Noyak, Suffolk County, tax map 900-14-1-66.5. And whereas after a review of the documents submitted, the Zoning Board of Appeals found that this project is an unlisted action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and coordinated review with the following involved agencies: Southampton Town Planning Board, Suffolk County Department of Health Services, and Suffolk County Department of Public Works. And whereas the Southampton Town Planning Board, at its January 25th, 2024 meeting, indicated that they would like to assume lead agency status in connection with the SEQA review of this project. Now therefore be it resolved that the Southampton Town ZBA hereby agrees that the Southampton Town Planning Board should assume lead agency status with regards to the application of 3310 Noyak LLC pursuant to 6 New York NYCRR Section 617.6B, and further it be resolved that this board directs that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Southampton Town Planning Board, Suffolk County Department of Health Services, and Suffolk County Department of Public Works.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
All right, chair votes aye. Okay, we have two resolutions. Just give me 1 second.
All the meetings should be like this.
Okay. All right, and we have two decisions. All right, I have a decision in the matter of Grace Sutton, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-178-2-7. This application is for property located at 1108 Flying Point Road, Watermill. Applicant requests variances for railings on proposed decking and for a rear yard setback for a new modest side dwelling on a lot burdened by wetlands. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for a proposed one-family dwelling on a non-conforming lot. 1, Town Code Section 330-84D, pyramid height, for a pyramid encroachment of 66.9 cubic feet for 2 deck railings on the west side of the dwelling. Second floor deck railing, 13.5 cubic feet, and rooftop deck, 53.4 cubic feet. And 2, Town Code Section 330-83K, yards, as it relates to Section 330-11 Resident Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations, for a principal rear yard setback of 24.9 feet where 50 feet is required. These variances are granted as shown on the survey prepared by Foxland Surveying, last revised December 11, 2023, and the floor plans and elevations prepared by BMA Architects, last revised August 2nd, 2023. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of subject premises.
Second.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. I have a decision in the matter of Production Holdings LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-355-2-18.7. This application is for property located at 61 Station Road, West Hampton. It was part of 3 separate applications to legalize a 2-lot subdivision and improvements made to buildings on these lots without the benefit of a building permit. Here, that included the conversion of a pre-existing barn into an apartment sometime around 1979. While this board does not condone construction done without permits, under these circumstances, the applicant passes the standards set forth in Chapter 169.
That's actually town code and that 169 was from the last decision. So it passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code.
All right.
Chapter 169 is the flood zone.
Okay. Oops. Correction made. Thank you, Katie.
Yeah.
Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. 1, for an existing 2-story house on a non-conforming lot, Town Code Section 330-11, Resident Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations, for a principal minimum side yard setback of 16.7 feet where 20 feet is required to legalize the conversion of an open porch to a covered porch. 2, to legalize an addition to a one-story frame barn. 1, Town Code Section 330-11 for an accessory side yard setback of 11.1 feet where 20 feet is required. And 2, Town Code Section 330-115C continuance for an accessory rear yard setback of 2.4 feet where 4.2 feet is existing. And 3, Town Code Section 330-84D pyramid height for an encroachment in the amount of 775.45 cubic feet. 573 cubic feet north and 2.45 cubic feet west. 3, for a deck attached to the barn. 1, small one, Town Code Section 330-11 for an accessory side yard setback of 0 feet where 20 feet is required, and an accessory rear yard setback of 9.8 feet where 20 feet is required. And 2, small I, Town Code Section 330-84D for an encroachment in the amount of 5.4 cubic feet. 4, for the existing AC unit, Town Code Section 330-77G, placement of accessory building structures and uses in residence districts for a rear yard setback of 4.1 feet where 10 feet is required. 5, to legalize the conversion of a barn to an accessory apartment, Town Code Section 330-11.2F, accessory apartment special standards. For the following: 1, for a lot area of 21,958 square feet where 32,000 square feet is required, 80% of 40,000 square feet. And 2, for an accessory yard setback of 2.4 feet where 14 feet is required, 70% of 20 feet. And 3, an accessory side yard setback of 11.1 feet where 14 feet is required, 70% of 20 feet. 4, an accessory side yard setback of 0 feet where 14 feet is required for the existing deck, 70% of 20 feet. And Town Code Section 11.2G1 to allow the size of the apartment to exceed 35% of the total floor area of the principal dwelling, and it is at 57.19%, where a maximum of 35% is permitted. These variances are granted for buildings and structures shown on the survey prepared by Floyd Carrington of Raynor, Marks, and Carrington, last dated July 4th, 2023, and the floor plans and elevations pyramid diagrams prepared by Nicholas A. Vero, R.A., last dated December 14th, 2023. This decision is conditioned upon the following prior to issuance of any certificates. 1, compliance with all planning board conditions, including those regarding the configuration of the driveway and vegetative screening. 2, the removal of the decking from the adjacent property. 3, the legalization of all fencing prior to the issuance of any certificates for the buildings and structures. And 4, such other permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval, including all approvals necessary for accessory apartment on the premises.
Second.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Abstain.
Chair votes aye.
Amen on that one.
Okay, do I have a
Motion to
motion to
close?
close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Closed.
Give it away.
All right, everybody have a nice Valentine's Day. We'll be here until the after.
Yeah.